Hello and welcome to Shri IAS. My name is Shashank Roy and let's talk about some of the most important articles published in The Hindu today on 13th of March. So let's start with the good thought process. Um, Babaji Ka Gyan says that dreaming after all is a form of planting. Dealing after all is a form of not planting, it's planning. Dreaming is also a form of planning. So even if you are, in case if you are unable to do anything, at least you can dream of something great. Have good thoughts, manage good thoughts, force your or discipline your mind to see the best things of life always, even if you are surrounded with a difficult situation. Apart from that, I will also say that after planning, the most important thing is execution. After planning, the most important thing is execution. So this is it in today's article. Let's talk about some of the most important one. Air Power Chief of Air Staff Air Chief Marshal AP Singh prepares to fly an upgraded MiG-29 during his visit to an Air Force station in Punjab. Simply, I always suggest a student to learn through images. If you flip the pages of The Hindu plus The Indian Express, you'll find many advertisements of the government. So what government does through these advertisements? Through these advertisements, government wants to highlight their plan of action, their vision. You'll also find advertisement related to states, their achievements, important dignitaries traveling their countries. They may be related to congratulatory messages on achievement of something, or if something has completed 100 years or 150 years or 200 years, there will be some congratulatory messages. State and central government will try to highlight some of the achievements of their government, or on the occasion of completing 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, or 4 year, or 5 years. And they will also explain their plan, mission, centenary celebrations. So what I'll suggest you, that always pay attention to the advertisement, and by looking at advertisements sponsored by the government, you can learn a lot of things. So let's look at it. Here Air Chief Marshal AP Singh is trying an upgraded MiG-29 during his visit. Now Air Chief Marshal AP Singh has always raised his voice related to the delay in procurement of arms and ammunition, and he especially criticized the delay by Indian companies, especially Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So he's the one such person who is always highlighting the drawback, the problems related to acquisition related to defense equipments. So have a look at it. Now the second is Pharma Council of India, a statutory body under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So underline it and you can learn it, right, by looking at advertisement. आपके पास एक great opportunity है कि चीज़ों को automatically समझने की. They are infographic, they are colorful, they are full of information. They will give almost every information. So if you look at the Pharma Council of India, that is under statutory body under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. That is one piece of information. The second one is 124 birth anniversary of Professor M.L. Shroff as National Pharma Education Day. Anvention 2026, Pharma Anvention 2026, Delhi NCR. The theme is Future Pharma Ecosystem, Fostering Synergy Among Academia, Industry, Research and Regulatory Practices. On 6 March 2026, we proudly celebrate the 124th birth anniversary of Professor M.L. Shroff, revered as the father of modern pharmacy education in India, as National Pharmacy Education Day. So, again, this infographic becomes important because in budget 2026-27, because in budget 2026-27, government discussed about National Biopharma Mission. National Biopharma Mission. National Biopharma Mission, and allotted 10,000 crore for this mission. There are different dimensions of this mission, right? India wants to become one of the biggest country in terms of cost-effective medicine or different medicines. It is written here that key initiative and achievement of Pharma Council of India. Again, Pharma invention on 13th March, and in budget, National Biopharma Mission or National Biopharma Shakti Mission. Biopharma Shakti Mission. Okay, so just pay attention to budget and you will easily recall one potential question for UPSC prelims. Next is Prime Minister Modi with some farmers, and it shows transfer of more than 18,640 crore directly into the bank accounts of above 9 crore 32 lakh farmers for 22nd installment of PM Kisan Samman Nidhi. PM Kisan Samman Nidhi. Right, PM Kisan Samman Nidhi. For the past 3 days, there is always a question in about agriculture sector and the role of women in agriculture sector. Role of women in agri sector. Right, so I've already covered 3 different articles related to the invisible labor done by women in agriculture sector, animal husbandry or horticulture sector. So please pay attention closely to the role of women in sustainable agriculture. Sustainable agriculture. Again, also read about Drone Didi Yojana or Lakhpati Didi Yojana, or how this scheme will make Didis Lakhpati. Because UPSC is in a nasty habit of asking question where you can't, about which you can't even think, or the test series do not think like that. So always pay attention to the advertisements and do some backward and forward linkages. Here it is: transforming connectivity, accelerating development in BTC area and across Assam, strengthening railway infrastructure. So northeastern state, why this advertisement becomes important? Because UPSC in 2023, UPSC asked questions like this. 2023 UPSC asked questions like this, that one particular railway project or a road project starts from Varanasi, it goes to it crosses Assam, it goes to Silchar, and then it goes to Southeast Asian countries, and majority of the people incorrectly mark this infrastructure project. So in northeastern states there is a big challenge related to connectivity. Connectivity related challenges are there in northeastern states. That's why Prime Minister Modi launched PM Gati Shakti scheme. PM Gati Shakti scheme was launched. PM Gati Shakti. Okay. Apart from PM Gati Shakti, prior to PM Gati Shakti, National Monetization Pipeline. Right, this was also there. So please pay attention to any infrastructure related project which is connecting northeast region with mainland India, and also any northeastern project which passes through neighboring countries such as Bangladesh, Bhutan, Myanmar, right, Nepal, right, or any other country. So please pay attention to the infrastructure project designed, developed, and initiated in northeast region. UPSC might ask these questions and you will be trapped in these questions, right? So this is it through this advertisement. Now next is coming fueling survival. This is a wonderful image published in The Hindu. Amid the ongoing commercial LPG cylinder shortage in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, many restaurants are turning to firewood to keep their kitchens running. So firewood, people are looking for coal, kerosene and firewood to burn the gases, burn the chulha in their houses, because there is a LPG scarcity, and this is going to be a grim reality in the days to come. So just by looking at these images and advertisements, you can sense something. You can understand what's going on in India, in different parts of India, right? You can develop the sense of sympathy and empathy, and you will be able to connect with them easily. So have a look at it. Now, as oil tankers burn, Iran says ships can't pass straight if they do not coordinate with us. So I have clubbed 7 in total. In today's article, there are total 7 articles. Total 7 articles related to Iran, Strait of Hormuz, LPG supply, LNG supply, and tankers attack, and US statement, and then Iran statement. So I have clubbed together 6-7 articles, and then I will give you a concise summary of what's happening. Okay, so have a look at it. This article says that as oil tankers burn, Iran says ships can pass straight if they coordinate with us. And this is a kind of hidden message to India, that if you do not coordinate with us, you do not cooperate with us, then your ships will not be passed. Right? Recently, there was a India-bound ship was attacked in Indian international waters. That was a cause of concern. Next article says that Strait of Hormuz to remain closed, shut US bases or attacks continue. Iranian leader has threatened that if you do not close the military sites, military bases in Middle East, this attack will be continued. So Iran is pushing back United States of America. The war was initiated. The United States of America and Iran thought that within one shot they will dismantle Iran, but now it appears that this war is costly very high for Israel and America. And not only in these two countries, this war is costing high for the world economy, especially the West Asia and Asian economies. Next article says crude supply secure, no shortage of fuel, says minister. But the reality is something else. You can watch it in the cities. In my area, at least 4 or 5 restaurants got shut down because they do not have LPG supply. Next is new supreme leader of Iran vows to keep Strait of Hormuz shut. So this is what is just a news. Reports of Iran allowing Indian ships through strait are premature, says government. And next article, Saudi oil tankers reaches Mumbai after crossing the Strait of Hormuz. And yes, this is the article. Trump and Iran exchange threats as war escalate. US intelligence indicates that Iran government is not at risk of collapsing at any time. So I will pay attention to this article and I will explain you. I will pay attention to this article and I will explain you that US intelligence indicates that Iran government is not at risk of collapsing anytime. So what does that mean? It means that this particular intelligence, US intelligence says that Iran is not going to collapse in near future, which means that Iran is prepared. Iran is prepared. Iran is pushing back in USA. This war is costing Iran, this war is costing USA too much. This is going to be a costly war. The damage done by Iran to American bases is too big, right? So these are some of the indications, and this US intelligence report says that Iran is not at the risk of collapse at any time. So let's start this article with a thought process, and that is war of attrition. War of attrition. What is the meaning of war of attrition? Just think about it. What is the meaning of war of attrition? War of attrition means a war of attrition is a type of conflict that each side tries to weaken the enemy gradually. Means you fight with the enemy, you damage the enemy, you prolong the war that over a period of time your enemy will be completely destroyed, exhausted with all the resources. They will be at their knees, and then in final shot you will annihilate the entire country. So attrition, war of attrition means exhausting. War of attrition means fighting a prolonged war prolonged war with your enemy. You are attacking their resources, you are exhausting their resources, you are crippling their infrastructure, you are stopping their food supply, you attack their ports, you attack their ships, and you attack every vital infrastructure which gives the strength to your opponent. Right? This is war of attrition. The meaning of war of attrition is you exhaust your opponent, you prolong the war, you exhaust your opponent with all the resources, you make them bleed. And I'll explain you, give you example as well. You attack their ports, you attack their food grains, you attack their supply lines, you attack their electricity grid, you attack their telecommunication center, and this is how you fatigue or you exhaust your opponent with all the resources, and finally they break down and you win the war. This is war of attrition. Now the war of attrition can be Russia and Ukraine. Russia-Ukraine war can be given as an example. Russia-Ukraine war is an example of war of attrition. War of attrition, wherein that European Union and NATO forces, they all are running short of resources, especially when there is another front opened in West Asia. It's been 4th year since this war started, and there is no looking back, there is no end in sight. And at the same time, you also opened a war in West Asia, which is forcing you to divert your resources from Russia, Ukraine to this West Asian nation. At the same time, what if China starts another war in Taiwan region? Again, you have to divert the resources, and this is how the European power will not be able to support Ukraine totally, and this will be known as war of attrition. At the same time, what Iran is doing, when USA attacked Iran, the primary purpose was attack, destroy Iran badly, attack, destroy, threaten Iran, destroy their nuclear powers, nuclear infrastructure, topple the regime, and supplant a pro-USA leader in Iran, provoke citizens, and on the ground of human rights, you get the legitimacy to topple Iranian government. This is the systematic playbook of USA when USA tries to attack any other country, be it Venezuela, be it Iraq, be it Libya, be it Afghanistan. So in the name of human rights violation, they will attack, whereas they do not pay attention to what they have done in the name of human rights. So here, what was the plan of the USA was attack, destroy, and threaten Iran, destroy nuclear infrastructure, topple the regime, and plant USA pro-regime there. Provoke citizens on the grounds of human rights violations. Again, break down the axis of resistance, and in order to achieve all these these objectives, what US did, US killed Ayatollah Khomeini, Ayatollah Khomeini, plus 40 military commanders, 40 military commanders in one shot. US thought that Iran got decapitated, there is no leadership, but again they elected their leadership immediately. They elected their leadership as Mojtaba Khomeini, thereby defying Iran's intent, defying in Iran's dictation. USA said that I want a leader whom I like. I mean, the Iranian leader, next Iranian leader will be of my choice. In fact, in short, the pro-USA leader should be installed in Iran, but by electing the son of the son of Ayatollah Khomeini, Mojtaba Khomeini as the next leader, Iran declared its intention that yes, we are defying your instruction. We are not going to abide by your decisions, and we have our own leader. So this is how. This was the intent of USA, but something else happened. What happened? The reality is Iran defied USA. Iran defied USA by electing Mojtaba Khomeini as the second next leader. Iran also said that we are ready for a prolonged war. Iran is attacking critical, or I would say military bases of USA in Middle East. Iran also attacked desalination plant, which will make entire Middle East run out of water. It's like cutting the lifeline of Middle East, because Middle East gets 70-80% of its oil or water from desalination plant. So this is what is dismantling the critic. Again, by attacking USA, it is creating pressure on US government about their decision. There is one more thing is happening: asymmetric warfare. United States of America's third missile got destroyed by Iranian attack. Third missile system is one of the best, which is also known as Patriot missile, system. You can say that this is equivalent to S-400 missile system. S-400 missile system that India bought. Okay, so recently Patriot missile system got attacked by Iran and got destroyed. So what is the cost of Patriot missile? The cost is $1 billion. 1 billion USD. So this war is becoming asymmetric. This war is becoming unsustainable. Why? Because every second US is spending $11,000 per second in this war. US have heavy arms and ammunition. This Patriot missile is $1 billion price. Now what Iran is using? Iran is using ballistic missiles and drones, Shahed drones. Now, for every attack Iran is doing, Iran is spending $11,000 per second, or they are getting hit by, their Patriot system is getting destroyed, and that is costing millions, billions. But what Iran is doing, Iran is using cheaper resources to destroy the costly resources of USA. Iran can sustain this war, but US cannot sustain this war, and this is what is known as war of attrition. Team, I hope you got the thought process. Team, I hope you got the information. Good afternoon, Prakhar Gupta. Good afternoon, bache. Prakhar, काइंडली ड्रॉप मी अ मैसेज और मुझे बताइए कि ये वॉर ऑफ अट्रिशन समझ में आया? वॉर ऑफ अट्रिशन, इज इट क्लियर टू यू? In war of attrition, you destroy your enemy, you exhaust your enemy, you make your enemy run out of the resources. This is what war of attrition, and this is going to happen in case of USA and Iran, because USA entered into Iran without any exit policy. Without any exit policy. In fact, USA doesn't have any clear objective that what do they want to achieve out of this entire war. Whereas Iran has got the legitimacy after the killing and assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The entire country got united. They are using cost-effective drones, Shahed drones, which will cost them maximum $500 to assemble a drone. And every day they can prepare at least 500 drones, so they are ready for at least 10 years of war. But United States of America has big ammunition, big arms. They never prepared for so small scale warfare, because being a world superpower, they wanted to portray the world, they wanted to project that we have warships, we have Patriot missiles, we have THAAD missiles, we have B-2 bomber. These are big weapons, and it takes a lot of money and resources and time to transport these weapon systems from one place to another place. But that is not the compulsion with Iran, and this is why this is an asymmetric warfare, wherein by these ballistic missiles and drones, cost-effective drones, what Iran is doing, Iran is forcing US to pay the price of their reckless courage or reckless initiative, reckless action against Iran. So this is it. This is what is the war of attrition. And yeah, this is it. War of attrition, this is the thought process I wanted to explain. Here is war of attrition. The meaning is, the war of attrition is a type of conflict that each side tries to weaken the enemy gradually by continuously causing losses in troops, weapons, resources, morale, rather than winning quickly through a decisive battle. So Russia-Ukraine war is one such example. Now, Iran is also exhausting American resources. Iran has already fought back 8 years of war. 8 years of war with Iraq. So, they are prepared to go for that long war. But this war is going to cost United States of America too much, and Middle East. It will also cost a huge price to the world economy. And apart from that, the biggest challenge of this incident is, the biggest casualty of US plus Israel on one side, and Iran conflict has a bigger spillover effect. What is that spillover effect? Spillover effect is that Russia has got the legitimacy to war against Ukraine. Now, United States of America has lost its moral ground to preach Russia about stopping this Ukraine war. Now, Russia will have its own terms and conditions. In fact, Donald Trump is getting back to Russia and asking for the intervention in this, asking for the mediation in this Iran-USA war. The second is, China will also be emboldened. To go against Taiwan, or China might capture Taiwan. North Korea can launch an offensive against South Korea and Japan. And in that situation, USA will have no moral ground to ask for stopping this war to Russia, Ukraine, Russia, China, or North Korea against South Korea. So team, I hope this war of attrition is clear to you. This is the bigger casualty of this war. Again, if you look at Iranian map, I'll suggest you to do a map. People are asking that why USA is not sending its troop to Iran. USA forces are not trained to fight a battlefield like Iran. USA spent 20 years in Afghanistan, but they got nothing. They waged the war against Taliban, against attack on Twin Towers. They started a war against terrorism. It was a war against terror. This war continued for 20 years, and in 20 years they got nothing, and as a result they ended up exiting from Afghanistan, which is also known as graveyard of empires. They exited humiliated from Afghanistan, ending up making Taliban the de facto ruler, and Taliban is paying the price of reckless intervention of USA in Afghanistan. The same thing is happening in Iran. If you look at Iran's geography, on one side we have Zagros Mountain, on the other side, on one side we have Zagros Mountain, on the other side we have deserted area Dasht-e-Lut and Dasht-e-Kavir, then we have Elbrus Mountain, we have Mashhad. So from all sides, Iran is like a fort. Iran is like a fort, which makes it difficult for USA and Israel to send their armed forces or troops on the ground. That's why this war is going in favor of Iran, because of the multiple strategies. Iran is leveraging its power, right, to push back Israel and United States of America. So this is it for today. Yes. Iran war strategic assessment. Iranian regime is not at the risk of collapse. That is the central theme, which means that either US is going to attack Iran, US is going to attack Iran with more power, or US would like to initiate a communication which might be refused by Iran, because anyways Iran was ready to negotiate with the USA. It was the Israel that attacked. Iran. Next is leadership structure remains intact. They thought that by killing or assassinating Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, they will topple the Iranian regime, but that didn't happen. Iranians defied US dictate and they elected their leader. The third is government retains control over population. They thought that the people will rise in revolt like the way they attacked Capitol Hill. But that didn't happen. In fact, by attacking Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, you united the entire Shia community, not within Iran, but across the world. And now, what Iran is doing, Iran is mobilizing all the Shia communities scattered across the world against US brutal attack. So, despite 2 weeks of US-Israel bombardment, there is no sign that Iran is backing or Iran is wearing thin. So, this is it for today's topic. And then we have another article. India co-sponsors resolution passed by United Nations Security Council against Iran. So, what this article is all about? Simply, along with other countries, USA is condemning Iranian attack on Middle East or Iranian attack on assets of USA's. Let's look at, has India ensured its peace? Before we get into this article, India co-sponsors resolution passed by UNSC against Iran. Let's talk about this article. I've taken this thumbnail from Republic Bharat. Has India ensured its peace? There are questions related to India's stand in this entire affair. What has India done? India is being criticized that India could not handle this issue, this entire fiasco with sensitivity. Just 2 days ago, ahead of this entire attack, Prime Minister Modi was in Israel. Right, he had a good camaraderie. He showcased that what was the welcome. He got a red carpet welcome. He got a medal, and he also said that Israel is fatherland and India is motherland. And just 2 days, just as soon as he returned to India, Israel launched an offensive against Iran. At the same time, in international water, a ship was attacked, torpedoed. An Iranian ship was torpedoed in international water. But there was no statement and no rescue effort was initiated by India, though India claims to be the net security provider in Indian Ocean region. Again, India didn't offer any condolence after the attack or assassination of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Right? So, there are question marks related to India's diplomacy, India's foreign policy with regards to West Asia, and there are also question mark on India's ability to navigate or do a balancing act when it comes in terms of politics in West Asia. So, what this article is all about, India's position at United Nations, what India has said. India co-sponsored the UNSC resolution. What this resolution says, that Iran's attack on Gulf countries, calling for immediate cessation of Iranian strikes and opposing any attempt to block the Strait of Hormuz. Now, voting outcome, 13 countries supported, Russia and China abstained. Who are they? They are the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. So this is what India has done. India has simply supported a resolution against Iran. India has supported a resolution against Iran. So first of all, let's understand West Asia and India's stake in the politics of West Asia. India's stakes are energy security. India's stakes are energy security. Then again, diaspora. We have 9 million strong diaspora. Then we have investment related aspects. We have remittances. We have, so these are some of the important stakes of India in the politics of Middle East. If the Middle East is not peaceful, India will not be peaceful, and its impact or heat will be felt, which is already there. The LPG, there is a shortage of LPG, which is leading to shutdown of industries, in cities like Morbi, Gujarat, or Ludhiana, which is a textile hub. And this is just the beginning. We don't know how long this war be continued. So this is what this article is all about. I will take you through another article which is small, which appears to be small, but that is not one. That is not. Yes, look at this article. India received a request for energy supplies from neighbors, says Ministry of External Affairs. Ministry of External Affairs says that India received a request from neighborhood countries to do a supply of energy. So this is a great opportunity for India to mend its relationship with the neighboring countries. So we will go through diagram. First we'll make a diagram, though diagram is there, but we will make a diagram of India and we will understand things through diagrams. Right? Okay, so let's look at India's neighborhood. Who all are the neighborhood of India? Bangladesh, Myanmar, we have Bhutan, we have China, and we have Nepal, we have Pakistan, we have Afghanistan, not immediate but neighbor, we have Sri Lanka, we have Maldives, we have Mauritius, and we have Seychelles and Indian Ocean region countries. So these are the countries. These are the important countries in India's neighborhood. Now, just this image is representative image of India. Now have a look at something. These are India's neighborhood countries, and we have neighborhood first policy. We have neighborhood first policy. Neighborhood is a priority. We have a look east and look west policy. We have act east and we have look west policy. Why look west is important from the perspective of energy security. Look west is important from the perspective of energy security. Act is important because that is a gateway of Southeast Asian countries. right? So this is what India's neighborhood policy. Act east and look west. Look west goes to provides us energy security, whereas Act East is more about giving us gateway to the access of the market of Southeast Asian nations. So if we look at the countries, India's neighborhood countries, India's neighborhood countries are in turmoil. There is already a fight going on in Myanmar. Elections got concluded recently, but I'm not sure that that election will sustain momentum. We have Bhutan, which is a peaceful country, but again threatened by China. We have China, and we have boundary related frictions. We have Nepal. Recently we witnessed Gen Z protest in Nepal, and India also faced a backlash. We recently fought back with Pakistan on Operation Sindoor. Afghanistan is again turmoil, and fighting between Afghanistan and Pakistan is going on. Now Sri Lanka is again recovering from its losses from economic downturn. So if you look at India's neighborhood, there is a turmoil going on. There is a turmoil going on. In fact, foreign diplomacy, in foreign policy circles, it has been said that India is losing its grace or goodwill in neighborhood countries. So now this is a great opportunity, because like India, India's neighborhoods are also energy deficient. Like India, the way India is, India's neighborhood is also, India's neighbors are also energy starved. Energy starved nation means, like India, they are also dependent on Middle East. They are also dependent on Middle East for their energy supply. For their energy supply. Is that clear? So now India can play a role, because India is surrounded by these countries and there is infrastructure deficit in these areas. So this is a great opportunity when India can play the role of a responsible neighborhood by supplying energy sources, provided that India is not lacking. India will never supply energy oil at the cost of India's own national security or own national interest. So now my next point is, what are India's connectivity related projects in India's neighborhood? Can you name? Right? Map is not 100% accurate, so apologies for that. So team, what I'm trying to say, that remember the connectivity project. Connectivity project of India with neighbors. And what is their status? Because if India doesn't have, if India do not have a connectivity project with the neighborhood countries, how the supply or transportation of resources will take place in case of any in case of any emergency? So this is what the point I wanted to drive home. Let's have a look at the mapping. This is India's map, the blank map, and this is the map related to India and its neighborhood. I've already explained it to you. Then we have Observer Research Foundation research says the Shillong-Silchar corridor rewiring the neighborhood diplomacy. Because UPSC is very fond of asking questions from infrastructure section. So here there was a question related to, there may be a question related to India's connectivity in the neighborhood, especially Bangladesh, Myanmar. So the Shillong-Silchar corridor rewiring the India's neighborhood diplomacy. Have a look at it. Now, energy supply request from neighbors and India's response. What this article is all about? This article is, India has received request for diesel energy supplies from neighbors amid the US-Israel-Iran conflict and fears of fuel disruption. Except China, none of these neighboring countries has the capacity to filter and refine crude oils. India has a huge capacity. Mukesh Ambani's Hazira plant is world's biggest refinery. So India is at an upper level. India is in a position to refine the crude oil and supply energy related resources to these neighboring countries, and thereby generating goodwill, especially when they are in turmoil, when they are in a rough condition. So India has received requests for diesel energy supplies from neighbors amid US-Iran conflict. Bangladesh formally requested diesel supplies. Similar request came from Sri Lanka and Maldives. And decision will depend on India's refining capacity, domestic requirement, and diesel availability, according to Ministry of External Affairs. So, team, got the idea about it? Team, please let me know. Got the idea about it? Understood it? Just give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. Just give me a second. Prakhar Gupta, can I see your comments? Prakhar Gupta, can I see your comments? Prakhar Gupta, kindly give me your comments, because comments will encourage me. These comments will encourage me that yes, students are participating. Right. So this is what they have requested. So now Assam has recently delivered some resources from Numaligarh refinery. From Numaligarh refinery, Assam government has transported some fuel to Bangladesh. Now, the diesel exports to Bangladesh, transports route, how they have done through inland routes. Through rail transport, and India-Bangladesh friendship line. Through by using this infrastructure, they have delivered fuel to Bangladesh. So there can be a question related to infrastructure related connectivity between India and India's neighborhood. So this is it in this article. India and Bangladesh signed in 2017, though it's not important, not significant, but I will say that in 2017 there was an agreement between India and Bangladesh about supplying 5,000 tons of high-speed diesel from Numaligarh refinery. From 5,000 tons of high-speed diesel to Bangladesh from Numaligarh refinery. Diesel export to Bangladesh have continued since 2007. So this is not something new, but the question might come from the connectivity. Now, strategic dimension. What is the strategic dimension in this entire affair? What is the strategic dimension in this entire affair? The strategic dimension is that India's location can make it an energy hub within India's neighborhood, or within in the regional grouping of SAARC and BIMSTEC, and also Indian Ocean region. So India has a great opportunity. India can become then energy hub within Indian Ocean region, SAARC and BIMSTEC. It will strengthen neighborhood first policy and regional interdependence. It will strengthen neighborhood first policy and interdependence. But chalo, is that clear? What will be the benefit of this? The benefit will be that India can emerge as An energy hub, regional energy hub, not global energy, regional energy hub, and this can support neighborhood first policy and interdependence among the neighbors, and this is what can be done. So, and why this is going to happen, why India can become a regional energy hub, how and why can India become regional energy hub. Why? Because India has huge refining capacity, because India has huge refining capacity. Apart from that, energy supply to neighbors, energy supply to neighbors, and regional stability. It will also lead to regional stability, and thereby stability, within SAARC, BIMSTEC, and it will give strategic significance, strategic influence to India. Strategic influence. Okay, so bache log, this is going to happen. This will be the benefit of India supporting neighborhood countries. Again, connectivity project might be asked, right? So connectivity, let's have understand some connectivity project between India and its neighborhood. Please give me a bit. Let me have a glass of water. How this entire thing will be processed? In the context of Bangladesh, we will have India Bangladesh friendship pipeline, India Bangladesh friendship pipeline, then inland waterways, between India and Bangladesh. Again, we have Kaladan multimodal project that can also be used, and this is giving India strategic influence within its neighborhood, especially in this time of crisis. Energy security, all these neighborhoods are equally starved in terms of natural resources, in terms of oil, like India. Even if they have the even if they have the oil resources, they do not have refining capacity, and India is good in terms of refining capacity, having one of the best refining factories in India, in the world. So this is it in this article. We are going for the next article now. Electrifying industrial heat as a path to India's thermal interdependence. Let's understand this article from energy perspective, from energy security point of view. This is a good article. Okay, we all know about solar radiation. Right? What is the solar radiation? Have a look at it. Incoming solar radiation, just imagine, suppose that we have 100 sun rays are coming, 100 sun rays are coming, right? Few are reflected back, they get scattered in the space, they are reflected by the clouds and the particles in the atmosphere, and some are absorbed by Earth. So 47% of the solar radiation is absorbed by Earth. So what are we going to do with this solar radiation? What are we going to do with the heat generated by sun? Can we use it for industrial purposes apart from solar panel? Apart from solar panel, can we use this solar energy in a different way through the technological intervention, and can it help in making energy secured? Why I'm asking this question? I'm asking this question because India is deficient in terms of oil resources. India is deficient in terms of oil resources. So India is dependent. India is dependent for its energy security, at least for 88% of entire energy, in approximately 88% of the entire energy need of India is imported from other countries. So in this situation, especially when the West war is going on, we can see that we have LPG cylinder crisis, we may have a CNG crisis, we may have the fuel, petrol and diesel running short. Now there are many industries which are dependent on LPG. For example, Morbi tile industry, Morbi tiles industry is in problem. Again, Ludhiana, which is a textile hub, factories are getting shut down because they do not have LPG resources. Again, micro, small and medium enterprises in Khurja, especially the ceramic industry, is badly hit in Uttar Pradesh, Khurja. So these are certain industries which are getting the heat of LPG shortage, and this is going to be widened in the days to come. So the question is, can we utilize, can there be an alternative? Can we use the solar thermal energy to feed or fuel our industries? Right? So that is the question, and let's talk about this article, how we can exploit the solar energy here. Here it is. What is concentrated solar thermal? Concentrated solar thermal. Solar power is an essential element. We all know about it. Now, this project is showing concentrated solar thermal. How the concentrated solar thermal works? Let me show you 3 images. Now, this is there is a central pillar. This is the solar receiver. Right? Let me go through images first. Concentrated solar thermal is a technology that converts concentrated sunlight into reliable electricity. Right? So don't think solar panels are completely different. Right? Solar panel will give you energy only till the time sunlight is there. But here in this concentrated solar thermal is a technology wherein we convert concentrated sunlight. Let's say here heliostats are there. Heliostats, they are big time mirrors. So the sun rays, these big time mirrors, they capture the sunlight, sun rays. They capture and absorb the entire solar radiation that is coming, but huge number of mirrors, huge size of mirrors are being used, and this is how electricity is generated. The heat is generated, and then that heat is stored in a tank, and that heat is utilized. Heat is converted into energy and electricity, and that's how they fuel industrial resources. And they are very powerful energy, right? They are not intermittent like solar or wind. So here it is. Heliostat, big mirrors are there. They track the sun throughout the day, reflecting the sunlight into receiver. So here sun is there. The solar radiations are coming. Now it is absorbing the entire solar heat, and then this heat is transferred from this area to this one, which is a solar receiver. The heliostat, the big time mirrors, they absorb the entire solar heat, and then this heat is transferred to a central pillar which is known as solar healer. Right? These solar receiver, what this solar receiver does, the solar receiver enters into this entire chamber. Then there is hot molten salt and cold molten salt is there. Now it does cold molten salt pumped up the tower to the receiver, heated, then returned to the hot tank until needed, and then this is how the entire structure done. It goes to boiler, it gets stored, and then it is transferred to electricity grid. So the central theme in this entire article is we are absorbing the solar thermal heat through big mirrors. Now after these big mirrors capture the solar heat, and this heat is transferred to the heliocenter, means a kind of tower, a kind of energy storage tank. And after that it is channelized as an energy and heat and electricity. This is a sustainable source. The cost is very less, and the experimentations are going on. For example, look at this one. This is a solar power, concentrated solar thermal in Australia. Now this is look at these mirrors. These are huge mirrors. And what they do, these mirrors absorb solar heat. Look at this one. Can Spain review the CSP industry that is killed? Spain is doing a big time experimentation with this CST. Then we have Mira. This is the project in Oman. Oman has launched Mira, which is a CST project wherein through huge mirrors, huge glasses, what they are doing, they are capturing solar heat, converting into energy, and thereby using for electricity supply. Mira Solar Thermal Project, translated as mirror in Arabic. Mira is a 1021 megawatt solar thermal facility located in South Oman. Key reality. Let's have some data, because data are important in UPSC. If you quote data, that will be great. Give me a second. Okay, so here it is. Let's have some data. India imports 85% of crude oil and 50% of natural gas. That's for sure. And we can witness it through this blockage of Hormuz. Industrial heat accounts for 25% of the total energy consumption. Means that out of this entire energy, 85% crude oil and 50% natural gas, 25% of total energy consumption is going for heating, industrial heat. We have boilers, we have different industries such as ceramic. In ceramic industry, we need 1000 degrees Celsius of temperature to cook or bake the tiles. Below that, the tiles will not be baked fully and they will be useless. So industrial heat accounts for 25% of total energy consumption. Now, West Asian disruption, the Hormuz crisis, gas and LPG supply, India has got a shock in terms of LPG and gas supply. Now, energy security now means the thermal independence, not just electricity independence. So what India wants, or what some scholars are suggesting, that India needs thermal independence. Not only energy security, India can have the thermal heat and energy security. Let's talk about industrial shutdown. Ceramic industry, ceramic factories are facing the heat of LPG shortage in Morbi, Gujarat. Textile industry unit in Ludhiana, they are also facing the heat because of shortage. And then government reduced industrial gas allocation to industrial unit to 65 to 80% to ensure that supply is not running short for essential industries. So industry cluster heavily depend on fossil fuel, LPG or gas. Now, so why electricity in electrifying industrial heat matters? Just let me make some diagram. Now, the question is why electrifying industrial heat matters. Industrial heat. Industrial heat. What happens? In industries, there are fossil fuel that we burn. We burn fossil fuel. We burn fossil fuel, then this burn heats air, or it turns into steam, and then this heats air and steam, and then this is wastage or energy losses. Energy losses. So now what is the way forward? How can we have the thermal independence? Now in India, the major challenge is India's power grid. The major challenge in India's energy transportation or energy sector is India's power grid. India's power grids are a big challenge here. How? It shows that industrial heat demand, industrial heat demand shift from gas pipelines to electricity grid in order to exploit this thermal energy, the solar thermal energy that we exploit from the big helio mirrors, right? The big mirrors, they absorb the heat generated by the solar, and now the idea is to through these electricity grid we can channelize this entire energy. So industrial heat demand, there should be a shift from pipelines to electricity grid, to electricity grid. Again, large increase in power demand. There will be large increase in power demand. Okay. So this article further says that key issues industrial cluster. In order to channelize this entire solar thermal energy, what do we need? We need the grid. We need the grid which are aging, which are old. Many transformer already near peak capacity, so they cannot have more loads of the solar thermal power. And we have renewable energy which is intermittent. If we want India to become the world's fastest economy, we cannot rely on wind and solar energy alone. We need reliable energy sources, and this solar thermal energy can be one such source which can help India becoming thermal independence, which will give India thermal independence and will cut down India's LPG or crude oil requirement by 25%. So what it says, solution, we need a battery storage. If we want to exploit the solar heat, we need the battery storage capacity, because the solar electricity grid will not be able to sustain, because they are already loaded, they are old, and they are in bad conditions. Second is pumped hydro storage is also needed. And then grid upgrades. Once we do a grid upgradation, we can channelize, we can transport the energy generated by solar heat to different grids, to different location, and thereby harnessing our industrial output. Now policy direction, what is required is policies, incentive for solar thermal. You may have seen production linked incentive. Production linked incentive has been given to solar panels. In the same way, the writer says that the way you've given production linked incentive to the solar panels, in the same way give incentive to CST production. Again, also promote electric heating technologies, give incentive to them as well. Then expand thermal storage system, because the storage will be required, so we need an incentive to establish thermal storage system. Again, in this way we will be able to reduce pollution, and thereby contributing towards carbon reduction. So thereby we should also get carbon credits, because in this entire project, in this entire concentrated solar thermal power energy, there is no carbon emission. So the writer says that the way you have incentivized the solar systems or solar panel, you should also incentivize the CST, the electric heating technology, the storage technology, and also carbon credits should be given for the efforts by these industries. Right? Again, the writer also says that the way the kind of demand we have for the energy in India, we cannot be dependent totally on one particular source. So the writer recommends that we should go for the hybrid model. Hybrid model of energy, and that hybrid model is solar thermal, exploit solar thermal energy during daytime, especially exploit solar thermal energy. Now use solar thermal energy during daytime. Now use gas grid during night. Okay. Now also promote electric induction. You may have seen that there is a huge sale of induction stoves across India, because there is an LPG shortage, and even restaurants are buying big induction stoves and they are experimenting with it. So that should be incentivized. So it says that in the day we'll use solar thermal, right? In the night we will use gas grid to give energy to our industries, and there must be a support for electric induction. electric induction equipments. So it will read reduce gas consumption. At the same time, it will give more reliability. Instead of total dependence on gas grid or solar grid, it's better we should go for the mix of gas, solar, thermal and electric. This is what it says, and what should be done, and what will happen after this. It will lead to, if we go by the suggestion given by the writer, it will lead to energy, we will move from energy security. As of now, we are energy security. It will lead to energy security to thermal security. It will lead to energy security to thermal security. It will lead to India's energy independence. Right? It will also lead to industrial resilience. And it will also lead to decarbonization goal, means emission related goals of India will also be met, that we have promised in Paris Climate Agreement or in COP29 or the next COP30. So this is what this article says, that we should go and exploit the solar thermal energy. For that, what we do need to do, we need to go and create infrastructure, especially the energy storage system. We need new infrastructure to supply of electricity from one part of the country to another part of the country. We need better storage system. We need incentive for the production of CST tools. So this is what this article is all about, and that is related to India's energy security. Now let me move to Supreme Court to study what constitute personal data in DPDP Act. So in this article, this is about Data Protection Act. In Data Protection Act, there are certain clauses which are coming in conflict with, right, the public interest and the right to privacy. So this entire affair is about certain changes, certain statements given in DPDP Act. So on one side, there are the conflicting vision is, on one side we have right to information. We have Right to Information Act. On the other side, we have DPDP Act, Data Protection Bill. This is Data Protection Bill. On the other side, we have Right to Information Act. Now what this article says, the basic contention, the basic point of conflict is right to information talks about information, and that too right information, because if there is no right of information, there is no meaning of Article 19(1), which is freedom of speech and expression. Because if there is no information, what will you talk about? So Right to Information Act supports freedom of speech and expression, because for speech and expression you need information, and that information will give you the material to talk about. Only then the Right to Information Act can be exploited. But at the same time, there is a Data Protection Act which is coming in conflict with the Right to Information Act. Right? What is data? It talks about the data privacy. It talks about the data privacy. There are certain words which completely prohibit any kind of data access by journalists, which is their crucial role, which is important for the journalistic profession. If they do not have data, what will they do? So this is the cause of conflict, and this is the Supreme Court lawyer Indira Jaising talks about Supreme Court to study what constitute personal data in DPDP Act. So let's do some writing. Let's do some writing in this article. Now it says that what constitute personal data under Digital Protection Act. After the petition of Indira Jaising, Supreme Court is going to examine what constitute personal data. What constitute personal data according to DPDP Act? Now, if this is personal data, definitely the privacy related facts will come into picture, right? In the name of personal data, in the name of privacy, in the name of fundamental right, what if the government denies data access by a journalist, by activists, or by citizens? So what Supreme Court is going to do? Supreme Court is going to examine what qualifies as personal data under the DPDP Act. Now, the law may restrict journalists from accessing information of public interest. There may be a corruption in road construction, and the government and the journalist or some social activist wants, or even I as a citizen, I want to get the access to data, and the data is defined and data is denied to me, data access denied to me under this clause of personal data. The government can say that this is a personal data, this is a data which is related to national security, or publication of this data may lead to law and order situation, or the social and moral fabric of the country. In the name of these bogus ideas, the government can deny this data, and thereby violating the provision of the Right to Information Act, and thereby undermining the foundations of the democracy. So now the court stressed the balance between privacy and right to information. So this is what Supreme Court will do. Supreme Court is trying to find out a balancing ground. Supreme Court is trying to find out a balance between privacy and fundamental right. Team, is that clear? Team, is that clear? Now, there is another contentious issue in this article, which says what Indira Jaising says. Indira Jaising is also saying that there is a contentious provision, and that is related to public interest. The clause related to public interest has been deleted here. It says that deletion of public interest clause may limit journalistic investigation. For a journalist, investigation is important. For investigation, access to data is important. And if you do not have access to data, you will not be having any informed choices and decision. And if you do not have informed choices and decision, then what will happen? You will not be able to enforce accountability on the government because you do not have data. So in this entire DP Act, public interest word has been deleted, which led to filing this petition. It also says lack of clear definition of personal data and information. There needs to be a clear definition of personal data. In the name of personal clause, you are denying access to data to journalist or any other activist. It also says penalties for illegal access to the goes to the Consolidated Fund of India. Let's say my personal data has been compromised. My personal data. So first things first. The first thing is what constitutes personal data that the Supreme Court is going to define. What constitutes personal data that Supreme Court is going to decide. The second one is Supreme Court is trying to find out a balancing ground or middle ground between privacy and fundamental right. Supreme Court will also evaluate what constitutes public interest. At the same time, if there is a data privacy or data violation or data breach related to someone or a common man, what happens? Huge penalties are there. That is in crores, and those penalties are not going to, and those penalties in case of any data breach of an individual, ideally the individual should be compensated. But according to DPDP Act, the compensation is going to Consolidated Fund of India. Right? The compensation is going to Consolidated Fund of India, whereas it should go to the individual whose privacy has been violated. Again, there is also a risk related to overboard and surveillance. There will also be a problem related to surveillance, and that's what these petitioners have said. Now, constitutional provision related to privacy comes to note down these constitutional articles. Constitutional provisions. Constitutional provision related to Article 21, and that Article 21 is related to right to privacy, right to privacy or dignity. Remember Putta Swami judgment. Putta Swami judgment 2017. Also comes Article 19(1)(a), subclause A, that is freedom of speech and expression, and RTI Act 2005, which promotes transparency and accountability in governance. So remember these constitutional provisions. Next is, yep, it is done. So what are we going to do in this article? I mean, what was the crux of this article? Supreme Court is going to find out the meaning of public interest. Supreme Court is trying to find out the middle ground between the privacy, individual privacy, and public interest. Again, why the word public interest has been deleted. And remember certain constitutional provisions that I've just wrote, Article 21, Article 19, and Right to Information Act 2005, and governance related aspects. So this is it for this article. Let me check if I have missed some. Yes, I have missed one editorial. I'm going to cover it. Shekhar, what's time? शेखर कितना हुआ टोटल टाइम? नंबर कितने घंटे? Okay. I'll have this article and finish it in short. Preparing India for a true innovation-led economy. What do you mean by innovation-led economy? That is a big question, because we are a consumption-based economy, and if we want to become a Vishwaguru, if we want to have the fastest growing economy, we must have the innovation-led economy, right? So before we proceed further, let's talk about something, and that is, let's have a look at this. Period of demographic dividend in large economies. Period of demographic dividend in large economies. Japan started its demographic dividend window in 1964, right? And in 40 years, it exhausted its demography, 2004 till 2004. By 2004, Italy started in 1984. It has a demographic dividend window of 18 years. Korea had 40 years of demographic dividend, exhausted in 2027. Spain had 23 years of demographic dividend, China 37 years, Thailand has 34 years, and Brazil has 32 years. India is having a demographic dividend of 37 years, and this demographic window is going to end in 2055. And Bangladesh will end its demographic dividend by 2052. So why am I talking about? The article is this one. This is the editorial, Preparing India for a True Innovation-Led Economy, and I'm talking about demographic dividend. Why? Because who will lead this innovation? Innovation will lead the workforce, and if the workforce is not properly trained, if the workforce is not properly educated, then who will lead this mission? So demography for demography to prosper, for demography to be exploited, demographic dividend to be exploited, what do we need? We need facilities related to health, nutrition. We need facilities related to a school where curriculum is innovative, which is matching with the demand of the time. We need to give a scholarship. Apart from that, we need employability. We need employability and employment opportunities. And on top of that, what else do we need? On top of that, we need research and development. We need research and development. And after research and development, what we need? We need a collaboration. We need a collaboration between industry, academia, and the citizens and the government. Right? So when we talk about demography, in order to reap the benefits of demographic dividend, what do we need? We need the health and nutrition. We need a school and good curriculum. We need scholarship. We need employability, and we need research and development. And apart from research and development, we need a collaboration between between industries, academia, and the government. Because if the government will not make policies, then and academia will not collaborate, the ideas will not take off. Let me give you another example. You may have heard about Silicon Valley. You may have heard about Silicon Valley, right? How Silicon Valley has become Silicon Valley? Because Silicon Valley has a triangle, and that triangle is industry, academia, and government. Now, what happens in Silicon Valley? All the graduates studying in Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or Harvard, or Oxford, or Pennsylvania State University, or Brown University, they produce the capable individual. They produce engineers, technocrats, right? They produce engineers, doctors, or anyone who is coming up with a sharp mind. They have ideas. Now, these institutions play the role of academia. Now, this academic churn out goes to industry. For what? For funds. Because academia has an idea, but industry will have the funding. You may have seen the Shark Tank. You may have seen the Shark Tank episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What Shark Tank does? An individual is there, he has an idea, but he doesn't have money. So what he does? He goes to Shark Tank, proposes their idea, and if their idea is solid, they get funding. This is what is required here, that we need collaboration between government, academia, and industry. So the industry, Silicon Valley, if we talk about Silicon Valley is supported by MIT, Harvard, Oxford, and Pennsylvania or Brown University. The best and sharpest student, they have the idea. Ideas need to be execution, and for that execution you need industry, you need infrastructure, you need laboratories, you need money, you need guidance, you need mentorship, and that's why they go to industries. And now these industries support them, and that's how everything that is happening here, 4 out of 5 things or innovation takes place in Silicon Valley. Government also supports, government gives incentives, government gives certain bonus, and this is how the collaboration works. But this collaboration is lacking when it comes to India. In India, there is a lack of coordination between academia, government, academia, industry, and industry, government. This is what this article talks about, that there must be, if India wants to become an innovation-led economy. But look, if India wants to become an innovation-led economy, India needs a collaboration between industry. India needs a collaboration between industry, academia, and government. One ironical thing is that India claims to be the world superpower. I mean, not world superpower. India claims to be fastest growing economy, or claims to become the Vishwaguru. But when it comes in terms of research and development, India spent the lowest amount for research and development. Lowest in BRICS countries, lowest among BRICS countries, lowest amongst G20 country, and it's only 0.65% of GDP. 0.65% of the GDP GDP. Now, if a country wants to become the superpower status, if a country wants to become a Vishwaguru, if a country wants to showcase its ability, they must spend research and development. And unfortunately, India has the lowest amount reserved, lowest amount allocated for research and development. So this is it. So what this article says, that India has shown strong policy intent. India has shown strong policy intent. It says that India has the intent. India has the intent, but intent is not enough. Execution is required. Intent is not enough. You must be able to execute an idea. And for execution, you need multiple things. You need multiple stakeholders in order to execute an idea, in order to make an idea alive. So it says that government has shown policy intent and funding. Government has also given funding for these things, for research, development and innovation, but actual innovation outcome remains weak because a low private sector participation and weak research to market transition. So it says that government has the policy intention, government has policy intention, government has funding for research development, but the problem is that there is a weak execution. There is a weak execution because the collaboration between industry, academia, and government is lacking. So intent is there, funding is there, but execution is not there because these three pillars are not working together. That's why India has a not so great position in terms of great innovation. Right? Great innovation. Do you remember Galgotia University? Team, do you remember Galgotia University, the recent fiasco that has taken place? That is an example that shows that India lacks in innovation. India has the intention, India has the funding, India has the research capabilities as well, but execution is lagging. Why? Because in order to execute something, you need collaboration between industry, academia and the government, and these triangles, till the time these triangles will not be completed, no innovation, no world-class innovation will take place. If you claim that India is an innovative nation, no, we have not done any innovation. Recently, our industry ministry, our commerce minister Piyush Goyal said that what are we doing? We are simply creating an app, and that is an aggregator app for Ola, Uber or Oyo, and that's what we are doing. That is not an innovation. That is not an innovation. At the same time, if you talk about artificial intelligence, we have AstroSage, which is reading Janma Kundali. I'm not saying that India is lacking totally in terms of innovation. We have wonderful AI tools, but still we are way behind than other developed nation. Again, the funding is also lacking when we compare India's funding on research and development, in comparison of other BRICS countries or G20 countries. So here it is. Policy intention is there, but we are lacking. Now, the second core argument is what the government has done in terms of research and development. Government has given a scholarship worth 1 lakh crore. Government has given 1 lakh crore of research and development fund under Research Development and Innovation Fund. Research, Development and Innovation Fund, 1 lakh crore. I said that the problem is not with the funding. I said the problem is not with the fund. The problem is not with the intent. The problem is with collaboration. This is the problem. So they had 10,000 crore for Research Development and Innovation Fund. Again, they have 20,000 crore. They have 20,000 crore deep tech startup, deep tech startup corpus. Again, expansion of Atal Tinkering Labs so that we can promote scientific temperament against care, among kids. Then again, we have Shanti Act 2005. Sorry, not 2005, it is 2025. Then removal of restrictions limiting deep tech startup from accessing R&D. So this is how we are moving towards Viksit Bharat. We aspire to become Viksit Bharat. Government has given funds 20,000 crore for deep tech startup, and then Shanti Act. Then we have 10,000 crore RDI. Then we have Atal Tinkering Lab. So where does the problem lies? This article says that structural weakness. There are structural weakness. What are those structural weakness in India's R&D landscape? India's R&D landscape. India's R&D landscape structural weakness. Structural weakness. Let's understand. This article says India spends only, the structural weaknesses are, India spends only 0.65% of GDP for research and development, for R&D. Private sector contributes less than 50%. Private sector has no collaboration if we compare with the other developing nation. Private companies contribute very less in terms of R&D development compared to global innovation hubs. Then again, patent filings. Patent filings are also far behind China. Again, India ranks low on knowledge intensive employment. We have less number of employment in terms of knowledge intensive employment, right? And there is gender gap in scientific workforce. Gender gap is also in scientific workforce. 65% of GDP, 0.65% of the GDP is allocated to research and development, which is less than BRICS countries or any other G20 grouping, which is very meager, keeping in mind the size of the country. The private sector participation is extremely low. The patent filing is far less than when we compare it with a country like China. India ranks low in terms of knowledge intensive employment and number of researchers. Then we have gender gap in scientific domain as well, which is showing India as a structural weakness when it comes in terms of research and development. So, broader deployment challenge. Indian economy relies heavily, there is another problem. Indian economy relies heavily on service and labor intensive platform, not deep tech innovation. Few globally influential technology originate from India. So what India does, if we look at India's employment, structure, India relies heavily on services and labor intensive industries. Services and labor intensive industries. But what India is supposed to do, India needs a huge amount of employment in innovation field if India wants to become a Viksit Bharat nation. We lack in terms of innovation. We pay more attention to services and labor intensive sector, but we lack in terms of tech-led deep tech innovation and employment. Now, the way forward, the article says, what should be the way forward to break this jink? Way forward suggested by the author. The author says that private sector participation should go high. Private sector participation should go high. They participate more. The annual spending on R&D should be increased. Again, there must be industry, academia, and government collaboration. Next, move from services and labor intensive industries to deep technologies. And build an ecosystem that promotes. An ecosystem is required. Build an ecosystem that promotes risk capital, patents, and technology commercialization. That promotes risk capital, patent, and technology commercialization. Right. So this is it in this article. This is the way forward as suggested by the author, and this is the last article of the day. इसका पीडीएफ आपको मिल जाएगा. यू विल गेट द पीडीएफ ऑफ दिस आर्टिकल. एक क्लीन पीडीएफ होगा और एक एनोटेटेड पीडीएफ होगा जो इसमें डायग्राम मैंने बनाया है. एंड दिस इज इट फॉर टुडे. आपके कमेंट्स का मुझे इंतजार रहेगा. प्लीज़ कमेंट कीजिए, और अगर आप चाहते हैं कि मैं किसी पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक पे कोई नोट्स बनाऊँ, प्लीज़ डू लेट मी नो. आई विल लव टू डू दैट. थैंक यू सो मच. जय हिंद, जय भारत. शेखर, शेखर हो गया सर, हो गया. नहीं नहीं, वो क्लोज कराना था.